There are roughly 6,000 container ships circulating the globe right now, operated by dozens of different companies. Maersk, MSC, CMA CGM, Hapag-Lloyd, Evergreen, COSCO, the list goes on. On paper, it looks like fierce competition. But here is a secret that keeps logistics managers up at night. When you book a container to ship from Shanghai to Los Angeles, there's an 80% chance that your cargo will sail on a vessel that is part of an alliance. Not a single company, but a pact. 3 alliances, 2M, Ocean Alliance, and The Alliance, quietly control almost all deep-sea shipping routes. They coordinate their schedules. They share their ships. They decide which ports get weekly service and which get bypassed. They act like a cartel, except they claim it is completely legal. In fact, regulators have been blessing these arrangements for decades, calling them efficiency gains. Is this competition, or is this an oligopoly hiding in plain sight? To understand how we got here, we need to look at one uncomfortable truth about the shipping business. Running a container ship is brutally expensive, and getting more expensive by the day. A modern ultra-large container vessel costs from $150 million to $200 million to build, and that is just the boat. Operating it is where the real money disappears. A single voyage from Shanghai to Rotterdam burns through from $1 million to $2 million in fuel alone. Port fees at major hubs can run from $50,000 to $100,000 per call. Then there are crew salaries, insurance, maintenance, and the fact that these ships only make money when they are completely full. And here's the killer. A 20,000 TEU megaship sailing at 50% capacity loses money on every single voyage. The cost per container doubles. But if you can fill it to 90 or 95% capacity, suddenly the economics flip. Each container becomes profitable because you are spreading those massive fixed costs across more paying cargo. This is the game. Fill the ship or die trying. So if you're Maersk and you're sailing from Asia to Europe every week and you have 15,000 slots on your ship but only 10,000 customers, you have 2 choices. Sail half empty and bleed money, or find a way to fill those extra 5,000 slots. This is where the alliances play their ace card. Slot sharing. Instead of Maersk running one ship and MSC running another ship on the same route, both half empty, they form an alliance. Maersk puts its customers' containers on MSC's ship, and MSC puts its customers' containers on Maersk's ship. They are not merging. They are not setting prices together. They are just sharing space. Each company still independently sells to its own customers at its own rates. But on the operational side, they are pooling capacity to make sure every ship sails as full as possible. The result is simple math. Fewer ships, higher utilization, lower cost per container. In 2023, the 2M Alliance controlled roughly 34% of global container capacity. Ocean Alliance held about 29%. The Alliance controlled around 26%. Together, these 3 groups account for nearly 80% of deep-sea shipping capacity. This is not just cooperation. It is consolidation without the paperwork. But here is where it gets interesting. This kind of arrangement would normally trigger every antitrust alarm in existence. Companies coordinating routes, sharing assets, and controlling 80% of a market. That sounds like textbook cartel behavior. So why is it legal? Because shipping alliances do not do the one thing that would get them shut down. They do not set prices. Under United States and European Union competition law, companies can cooperate on operations as long as they compete on pricing. The technical term is Vessel Sharing Agreement, called VSA. In a VSA, alliance members agree to share ship capacity and coordinate sailing schedules, but each company independently negotiates freight rates with customers. Maersk can charge $2,000 per container while MSC charges $1,800 for the exact same route, and they are both using the same ship. To regulators, this means competition is preserved. For decades, the European Union granted shipping alliances an explicit antitrust exemption. But in 2024, the European Union let that exemption expire, forcing alliances to individually justify their cooperation under standard antitrust law. So, who exactly are the architects of this system? The The 2M alliance was formed in 2015 between Maersk and MSC. For nearly a decade, they dominated the seas together, operating over 330 vessels on shared routes. But in January 2025, 2M officially ended. MSC wanted to keep growing its fleet and go it alone. Maersk wanted to pivot toward logistics services. Today, MSC operates the largest independent fleet in the world, over 6.4 million TEUs, betting that brute scale will win the game. Meanwhile, Maersk teamed up with Hapag-Lloyd to form the Gemini Cooperation, focused on hub-and-spoke efficiency. Then there's the Ocean Alliance, formed in 2017. Its members include CMA CGM from France, COSCO from China, Evergreen from Taiwan, and OOCL from Hong Kong. Together, they control roughly 29% of global capacity, operating over 350 vessels, with weekly sailings that call at nearly every major port. What makes Ocean Alliance powerful isn't just size, it is coordination. These four companies bring complementary port access and customer bases. COSCO has unmatched access to Chinese manufacturing hubs. Evergreen dominates Taiwan and Southeast Asia. CMA CGM controls French and Mediterranean trade. Together, they have built a network that is nearly impossible for smaller carriers to replicate. Finally, there is the Alliance. Originally formed in 2017, it added South Korea's HMM in 2020. But in September 2024, its members announced a reorganization. Hapag-Lloyd left to join Maersk's Gemini Cooperation, while one, Yang Ming, an HMM rebranded as the Premier Alliance in February 2025. Premier Alliance now works closely with MSC through slot chartering deals, effectively giving them indirect access to MSC's massive independent fleet. Now, you might be wondering why smaller shipping lines do not just compete on their own. The answer is schedule reliability and port coverage. A carrier like Maersk can offer weekly departures from Shanghai to Rotterdam because they have enough ships to guarantee space. If you're a smaller carrier with only 10 ships, you might only sail that route every 2 weeks, maybe once a month. For a shipper like Apple or Nike, that delay is unacceptable. They need predictable, frequent service. So even if a smaller carrier offers a lower price, customers will not risk it. To compete on reliability, you need scale. To get scale, you need customers. But to get customers, you need reliability. By pooling their ships, Alliance members can offer the schedule density of a mega carrier without actually being one. That stickiness is worth billions. But here's where the story gets more complicated. During the COVID-19 pandemic, container shipping rates exploded. The price to ship a 40-foot container from Shanghai to Los Angeles jumped from $1,500 in 2019 to over $20,000 in 2021. Shippers accused the alliances of coordinating capacity reductions, deliberately keeping ships in port to drive up prices. The alliances responded that they were dealing with port congestion, labor shortages, and unprecedented demand surges. But the optics were terrible. A handful of alliances controlling 80% of capacity and rates spiking 10 times. In 2023, the U.S. Federal Maritime Commission launched investigations into whether alliance members were abusing their dominance. The decision by the EU to let its exemption expire was partly driven by similar concerns. The question regulators are now asking is this: do alliances still deliver efficiency, or have they become an oligopoly in everything but name? So, what's next? MSC is betting on independence, building a fleet so large it does not need partners. Maersk is betting on logistics integration, trying to control the entire supply chain. Ocean Alliance is doubling down on geographic reach, expanding into emerging markets in Africa and Latin America, and Premier Alliance is experimenting with hybrid cooperation. Meanwhile, regulatory pressure is increasing. The European Commission is watching alliance behavior more closely. The U.S. Federal Maritime Commission is considering tighter oversight. Some analysts predict we will see a fourth alliance emerge from regional carriers. Others think we are heading toward a world with 2 alliances. But until global trade becomes less concentrated, the weird truth remains. Independent competition in container shipping is mostly an illusion. So, next time you order something online and it says shipped from overseas, remember that there is about an 80% chance it is sailing on a vessel controlled by 3 alliances. That container tells a story about how cooperation became more profitable than competition. Let me know what you think in the comments.